Houston Texans, Houston Texans, Houston Texans. Trade deadline has now passed us, guys. Trade deadline is over. I believe it was set to be finished 4 p.m. Eastern time. We are well beyond those hours. Um, I know there's a lot of frustration between the fan base because everybody wanted them to improve the interior line and get some more protection for CJ Stroud. Now, one thing those out there that are speculating and having their own opinions, which is fine. But one thing that people have to realize is that the Houston Texans have a lot of invested into their offensive line. And I give them a pat on their back for, at least trying to, have the right mind state, the right mind frame to protect their rookie quarter, well, now second year player, but in CJ Stroud, they had the right intentions to try to go up and bolster the offensive lineman. Now, the fact is still out there to be seen if it's actually working out for them. Now you have Laramie Tunsil, one of the highest paid tackles in the game. Then you pay Titus Howard top 10 tackle money, and then you try to move him to guard for whatever reason. And then Kenyon Green, not to mention, is still a first round pick, still on his rookie contract, but you're paying him millions of dollars. Um, then you go out and pay Shaq Mason, give him $12 million a year. And I see a lot of fans is, kind of having their 2 cents about that. And yeah, man, just all in all, I mean, that's a lot of money invested in offensive linemen between 3 to 4 guys. So I know a lot of people out there, they was hoping that the Texans can go out there and they want Nick Casario to make some type of magic and brainiac moves because everybody thinks he's a brainiac. But the fact of the matter is, guys, the Texans aren't going to be willing to go out there and spend more money because they've already invested so much in the offensive line. Now it's not working out like they thought it was going to work out, and that's been obvious. I mean, CJ Stroud, I saw a stat that he's been the most pressured quarterback as of now. Um, and that's not good, especially when you have a guy like CJ Stroud at the helms of the team, and then also you have a lot of money invested in the offensive line. You expect them to, be a lot more productive than what they've been. So, that's why you're not seeing those big moves that you guys were hoping for because they already feel like they've invested so much. Now, it's football, things happen. Now, I know DeMeco Ryans in his press conferences, and by the way, hasn't been very enthusiastic about the question that he's been asked, and rightfully so. I think he's, frustrated. You can see it on his face. He's not a guy that really hides his emotions very well. Not a chameleon doing that at all. You can see his facial expressions is very, stale. He's answering questions very quickly. He's getting off of it, not showing any type of emotion. That's a sign of a coach that's frustrated, not only with the questions, because I mean, you guys as reporters, that's your job to go out and ask questions to the head coach. I mean, that's why they hold these press conferences to try to get answers for themselves and the fan base. That's all what press conferences is about. And DeMeco Ryans is seemingly becoming victim to saying all the right things, but saying them a little bit too often. And there's nothing happening, there's nothing changing. So, what does that look like moving forward? I mean, how long will DeMeco Ryans be able to get away with just giving short, sweet answers, not really answering the questions, truthfully? So it's kind of like a mute point when these reporters go in there and they have these press conferences because you're not going to get straight up and down answers from DeMeco Ryans. I could tell you that right now. You kind of got to use your imagination sometimes to see. what's going on and kind of go with your gut feeling. Whatever you guys think is happening with the team, that's pretty much what's happening with the team. And you could tell by the responses. You could tell by facial expressions. You could tell by the way he answers. You know, obviously you could tell that it's a big problem. I mean, the offensive line has been a problem throughout the entire duration of the year so far. Um, with offsides, a lot of false starts. What else? Holding penalties, not being able to protect CJ Stroud. So there's a plethora of things that's going on right now with the offensive line. And it seems like each and every week, even if they win or lose, you guys are asking him about what's going on and what's the plan moving forward with the offensive line. So, you know, that you can just tell that he's getting frustrated with it. You know, talking about the same things kind of seems like it's a broken record at this point. But um, going back to the trade deadline, that's why you guys aren't seeing any spectacular moves that you guys were hoping for because they already invested a lot of money this offseason. And I mean, I think they got Shaq Mason. They got Shaq Mason deal done last season when they brought him over from New England, I believe. They drafted Kenyon Green 2 years ago. I mean, not yeah, Kenyon Green 2 years ago. And then got Laramie Tonsil done, I believe, this offseason. And then they got Titus Howard done last year. So, you know, they're not gonna do anything, guys. Now, what they did do is it's almost like pennies on a dollar. Let's say pennies on a dollar, that's what they do. Nick has gone back to Nick Casario, that is, has went back to his Patriot days and getting players for pennies on a dollar. I mean, that's pretty much they got their hands tied, guys. So, you know, they went out and signed former guard Tremaine. I think this is named Tremaine Antrim Jr. from former Rams player. I believe he won the Super Bowl with them for whatever that's worth. And I believe the guy's gonna be on practice squads, you know, until he can get in shape or whatever or whatnot. I want to say, don't quote me, but I want to say they went out and signed another guy, put him on practice squad. But I mean, that's all you got. You got guys for pennies on the dollar to try to add some type of competition. But in reality, they're not going to bench anybody on the offensive line, especially the guys that they're paying money towards. You know, like I said in the video before about the Dallas Cowboys, you know, a lot of guys aren't playing really well. Like, for example, Dak Prescott. Now he got injured, so that's going to allow him to miss time and prevent him from being on the field. So I think he's got a hamstring injury. He's going to miss 4 weeks. But if that wasn't the case, for example, Dak Prescott would still be on the field, no matter if he's playing bad, throwing a lot of interceptions, um, can't move the ball, can't, you know what I mean? He's not really bonding with his locker room. It doesn't matter because he's the highest paid player in the league. So you got to be on the field. You can't be on the bench. Same thing is going on with Houston Texans offensive line. You're not going to bench any of those guys because why? You got a lot of money invested. That's just how this thing goes. The NFL is not college. It's not high school. It's not pee wee football. Your investments have to be on the field unless they get injured or they commit some type of um, detrimental to team type of act or whatever the case may be. So moving on, couple other things with the Houston Texans. Now going back, oh, they did make a trade, but they didn't trade for what you guys wanted them to trade for. So the fans got to understand the teams, sometimes they do move, sometimes they hear the rumblings, but their hands is tied with this offensive line situation at this point. And I just said that. But they did make a trade. They traded Khalil Davis to the 49ers. I'm not sure what that was about, but you know, it had nothing to do with the offense. You know, Khalil Davis, good player. I played with him. I played with his brother actually in Pittsburgh. So they're actually identical twins, but hard worker, good guy. He'll do well in San Francisco wherever he goes. But they traded him, and I believe they acquired a 7th round pick. So I don't know what that means. but it seems like they're already, kind of trying to think about the future. And you could take that with a grain of salt or however you feel about it. But okay, and then they designated cornerback Okuda off IR, injury reserve. To me, that's not really a excitement type of deal because Akuda Baker, I remember they brought him over and signed him for, I believe, $4 million, something like that. And hoping that another former third overall pick like Derek Stingley. But I remember the media was super hype about it. Oh, got two third overall picks. Come on, bro. I mean, he's dude, it is what it is. Dude's been injury prone his entire career. I heard he's a decent type of guy, so I don't have too much to say about him, especially not his play because he hasn't really been on the field. But that wasn't any type of breaking news. I just thought I was should mention it because it came out today around the trade deadline. Obviously, we know Kamari Lassiter, a rookie, took over that starting role opposite of Derek Stingley. So Akuda doesn't really doesn't really move the needle for me as far as where this team is going. Now, next, the biggest news for me, honestly, for this team is getting their premier pass catcher back and Nico Collins. Now, Nico Collins been out a few games, and you could tell with the production of the offense, not being able to score late in drives, not being able to, push the ball down the field as much as they once did. So, DeMeco Collins, when asked when asking DeMeco Ryans about the status of Nico Collins, only thing he can continue saying, and it's not just Nico Collins, it's other players as well. I mean, the Texans have been battling injuries all season long. And it's unfortunate, but I don't know what it is, but it seems like they got an injury bug. Almost kind of like, remember back, not even that long ago, but it seems like for a 4 or 5 year span, back when the San Diego Chargers, not the LA Chargers, but the San Diego Chargers, seemed like they had just a ripple effect when it came to players getting injured. And it seems like that's what's happening to the Texans right now. And it's unfortunate because there was a lot of high hopes going to the season. You had all these splash free agent signings, a lot of reoccurring guys getting their money and all that. So, but Nico Collins to me would be an upgrade, bringing him back to the squad healthy. But only thing Nico Collins can say is that they're monitoring him. So, I mean, does that seem optimistic as far as him playing against the Detroit Lions? Doesn't really seem too optimistic to me. Like I said, if you're asking DeMeco Ryans questions, speaking to the media at this point, I can tell you this right now, you're not going to get straight up and down answers. He's going to get around the question. He's going to answer it in a way to where he's not going to tell you nada, zero, nothing. He's not going to tell you anything, so, it's almost like the press conferences at this point is pointless. You know what I mean? So, I'm hoping excuse me, I'm hoping Nico Collins gets back on the field for the Texans' sake. And we'll see where the season goes moving forward. But if you guys were expecting something to happen magical, astronomical during this trade deadline, I could tell you that wasn't going to happen. But anyway, Texan fans, appreciate y'all been tapping in with me, listening to me, hearing me out, hearing my perspective on things. And make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Corner Suite, we out. Peace.